Today we will cover assignment operators. Before we move on, let's quickly recap our previous lesson. We were learning about logical operators and we used them to create expressions using Boolean values. For example, we have true and true. What will this expression evaluate to? That's right, true, because both values are true. And with the AND operator, both values need to be true for the result to be true. As you remember, every expression is evaluated to a single value. So when we store an expression in a variable, it is the resulting value that is stored, not the expression itself. And here's something you may or may not know. If a variable used in the expression changes later, the stored result does not automatically change. Now let's look at our expression again. We have two choices for what to do with the result. We can store it in a variable and then display that variable using print, or if we only need the result once, we can place the expression directly inside the print function. Now let's move on to today's topic, assignment operators. We've already been using one assignment operator throughout the course. Can you remember which one it is? That's right, equals sign. We use equals to assign a value to a variable. For example, score equals 10. This tells Python to assign value 10 to the variable score. Today we will look at some other assignment operators that allow us to update the value of a variable using a shorter form of code. Let's start with the plus equals assignment operator. Imagine we are creating a game and we have a variable called score. At the beginning of the game, the player has no points, so we could write score equals 0. Now imagine the player scores a point. We could update the score like this: score equals score plus 1. Let's think about what happens here. Python takes the current value of score, adds 1 to it, and then assigns the new value back to score. So if score was 0, it becomes 1. If we run the same operation again, score becomes 2. There's also a shorter way to write this. Score plus equals 1. This means the same thing as score equals score plus 1. The number doesn't have to be 1. We could increase the score by 5. So score plus equals 5. The amount you add depends on what your program needs. Notice that plus equals isn't limited to numbers. Here we are using it with strings to add more text to the existing value. We can do the same thing with subtraction. Imagine a game where the player loses 10 points because they made a mistake. We could write score equals score minus 10. Or use the shorter version, score minus equals 10. Again, we are updating the existing value of score. We can also use multiplication. Imagine a game where the player's score is doubled when they complete a bonus level, for example. With division, we could use an example such as splitting an amount between two people. Value stored in an amount is now 50. There are assignment versions of some of the other arithmetic operators we've already learned. They work using the same basic idea. Python performs the operation and assigns the new result back to the variable. Before we finish, let's recap the key points from today's lesson. The assignment operator equals assigns a value to a variable. Assignment operators such as plus equals or minus equals allow us to update an existing variable using a shorter form of code. And remember, the amount we add, subtract, multiply, or divide by doesn't have to be 1. It depends on what our program needs. Programming becomes easier when you practice writing and experimenting with code yourself. Don't worry if you make mistakes. Try something, run your program, look at what happens, and learn from it. The more you practice, the more natural these operators will become.